Blended Podcasts. Brought to you by Blended Audio.
ArtPod is a South African-focused visual arts podcast hosted by Claude Chandler. Join me weekly every Saturday as I'm joined by a new guest who occupies a position within the visual arts community, ranging from fine arts, tattooing, framing, and logistics. Welcome to another episode of ArtPod. Today I'm joined by Warren Maroon.
Hey, man.
Quick introduction. He's an artist, curator, I guess also co-founder or business partner in
World Art Street.
Yeah. And also, did I say fine artist?
I think so, yeah.
I think I did, but we'll just mention it twice. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. So before we start, can you just give a quick introduction or background?
To myself.
To yourself, yes,
fine.
Can
I swear?
You can swear, absolutely. Don't start off.
It's such a, I don't know, where do I start? I was at Ruth Prowse, I guess. Let's start there. Ruth Prowse from 2009 to 2011. That's when I graduated. And then, funny enough, I left art for a couple of years. And I found myself in the financial industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite a...
It's a weird jump.
A weird jump, but maybe for the best.
It was quite interesting, actually. What was weird was that I loved it. And I stuck around for quite a while. And I started at the bottom, and I worked myself into senior management, and then I kind of said, you know what, I need to leave this space. I need to go pursue the things that I love, and which is art. And so I left, and I had a bit of a break. And then what was funny was I actually went to Adele van Heerden's walkabout at the Aviation. She had a kind of solo show there.
Yes, on the mezzanine.
Yeah, on the mezzanine. And I went to the walkabout, and I actually met Colin at the walkabout, and I basically replaced her at World Art shortly after, which is quite interesting. It's weird how life works. But other than that, it's really difficult to talk about myself. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. Well, let's just quickly jump back to Ruth Prowse.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, from what I've read, you grew up in Mitchell's Plain.
Mm-hmm.
How did you kind of find yourself getting into the art community or into the art world and deciding to make that either a career or, to study it further at tertiary level?
It was such a weird thing. I basically got into art through making stickers, and I used to trade stickers with people all around the world. So there was this massive sticker community on Flickr, and Flickr was basically the Instagram of the early 2000s. But it was really awesome.
Yeah, I had a friend in Graffiti, and he absolutely loved Flickr. You got to get on.
Yeah. And then I think my drawings were just so weird and odd and different, that a lot of people asked me, they was quite surprised that I wasn't into art, you know, that was the first jump off point. And I kind of just assessed my situation at this, at the company that I worked for at the time, and I was like, okay, so this is basically a dead-end job. I need to go do something, right? So I saved up. And then I went to go study the worst thing that you could possibly study.
Don't worry, I know.
Which is art, because you're not gonna make a living easily. And so that was basically the kind of push into the art world. And I went into fine art and Ruth Prowse.
And so just going back to the stickers, was there, not kind of considering them as art, was there a sense that these were two separate things, or art was something else and what I'm doing is, not in touch with that? Or
I didn't ever think it was the same thing. It was just, kind of finding out that I'm kind of I'm creative, so it was just kind of exploring that a bit more. So yeah,
So yay to Flickr, basically for giving you affirmation, saying you're on the right track.
kind of, yeah.
I love that the stickers are almost like, I don't know, like Pokemon cards, you know?
Yeah.
Do you still have the collection?
No, it's actually a sin to not paste stickers.
All right.
You know what I mean? Like they're not
Sure.
living their full life almost.
Nice.
So basically, you'd kind of just create sticker packs and send it all around the world to a lot of different people, obviously, and they would send you stuff and you'd paste their stuff so that they kind of get up in a new city. You know, they kind of exist
Yes.
outside of their city or their country or whatever the case. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So that's like the whole premise of trading stickers.
Okay, very cool. So it's just getting up on an international level, just
Yeah.
having someone do
Yeah.
the work for you there. Now at Ruth Prowse, was there, I mean, jumping into it, was it kind of what you were expecting, or you thinking, what the hell have I done?
I don't know. It was so weird. Like, funny enough, it's the first time that I've ever like really encountered white people.
Okay.
Yeah. I never ever had like white friends or anything, so that was quite a culture like weird shift. And it was like really like kind of almost exiting a bubble, you know, because like you live in Mitchell's Plain and whatever, so you kind of exit this bubble and you go into another bubble. And
Sure.
then on your way home, you kind of leave that one bubble and then you go into this different space and you have to become almost this different person to navigate these two different spaces, which is
Sure.
quite weird.
I mean, yeah, coming from Durban and, you know, also visiting Joburg and Pretoria, I'll definitely say, yeah, bubble.
Yeah.
Cape Town is definitely bubbles.
Yeah, it's bubblish.
Bubblish, yeah. All right, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So yeah, a bit of a culture shock in both.
Definitely. And it's weird. It's weird that you have to like become two different people. Well, yeah, two different versions of yourself, I guess. Yeah, have to exist simultaneously almost.
So was there ever a sense of like fine arts like a white thing, or?
I don't think it was ever like fine arts a white thing. It was just, it was weird to navigate like the cultural differences, you
Sure.
know, like what I'm used to and what.
Of course.
Yeah. I think one of the weirdest things that always like sticks out is like someone's nose was bleeding and for the first time I heard someone like say, "Ew, gross," like your nose is bleeding. I'm like, it's the most natural thing ever, you know what I mean? And like, yeah, it was so weird, man.
All right.
Such a weird jump.
I love that story. That's so cool. And then, so I'm assuming you kind of pursued either drawing or painting.
Yeah, I think, no, I hate painting, like,
Okay.
yeah, that medium just doesn't sit well with me. Like, I think it's so weird. I'm a bit impatient when it comes to painting.
For sure.
So, yeah, I kind of pursued drawing a lot more, but that also didn't pan out. Yeah, I did, honestly, I did one of the strangest third-year bodies like of work ever.
Yes.
Yeah, like that will never see the light of day again.
I think also there's, you know, when you come to your final year, there's this kind of pressure to kind of realign the planets with, you know, this huge statement. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can kind of drown
Yeah.
in that pressure. I know so many art students who kind of experience that.
Yeah, no,
and it's-
definitely. I think I was one of them. That really like kind of scared me to actually make art again. Yeah, like it kind of, after making that, I was so disappointed. Not that it was like, it's not that it was terrible. It was just like, it was weird, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I also find with fine art, I think the more successful the art is, the more kind of close to home and personal it
Yeah.
is. I think, you know, there's a sense that as an artist, you kind of above society and floating, you know, and you kind of take on these huge topics, you know, way beyond your reach or comprehension, and you try and contain it. But ultimately, it's just kind of sharing a bit of your inside world with the outside world.
Yeah, basically.
And I mean, yeah, upon, you know, I used to do a bit of research before interviewing my guests or having a chat, and yeah, your installation sculpture pieces, found object pieces popped up. And I first had to like triple check to make sure it was the same artist, and I mean the work is fantastic. And we were chatting beforehand, and as you were saying, you know, you pursued the drawing career or medium for a long time to no avail, and you know, amazingly you kind of came across this. Can you just kind of describe this body of work and how it came to be? I know we chatted it beforehand, but I absolutely love the story. And
I think so it all started with me basically just this idea that I wanted to like explore the games that we played as kids, you know, and once I started like looking at all these games that we played, like there was always a level of violence attached to it. And so one of the first pieces that I made was a zip gun. When we were like about 12 or 13 years old, we'd actually make zip guns and run around and like basically shoot at one another with live ammunition with like, you know, it was, you know, a handmade gun, and so you could either kill yourself or shoot, like blow your hand off or kill someone else, and it was a weird thing. And so I kind of explored all these little games that we played, and I really wanted to kind of create a body of work that was looking at all of these games. And the other one that I told you earlier was about Passport, where you would have this like luxury packet. And so if someone else can't produce a luxury packet when you show them your passport, basically, they would then be they then have to buy you that luxury item that you are showing them. So whether it be a packet of chips or a sweet or whatever, a chocolate, and if they can't produce that by the end of the week, by Friday, then you get to beat them up. You know, so it was such a weird thing, like looking back at it and looking at like what we used to call it, like passport. And if you can't produce the passport, you are either in debt or you get beaten up, you know, like it's such a weird thing. And so the more I explored this kind of, I don't know, this weird, all these games that we were playing and all the violence like attached to it, the more I really just found myself looking back and saying, well, oh, this is actually just my story that I'm telling, you know. And so I think that's how the work that I'm kind of making at the moment is, it's basically just my story, and my lived experience.
No, it's it's an amazing body of work. And we were just talking about Affirmation, and you were saying that the first time it was exhibited was with the AVA at the Cape Town Art Fair. Is that correct?
It was the second time actually.
Right.
But yes, that was the first time that it was at the Cape Town Art Fair, but the second time with the AVA. And one of the nice things about it was when one of the, I'm not sure if she was like a curator or something, but she would try to explain to people what the work was about. And one of the best things was like these two colored girls actually told her like, no, that's not what the work's about. The work is actually about this. And the fact that they could take back ownership of something, you know, like in that kind of space and context, it's actually amazing.
Yeah, fascinating. I mean, when you first told me the story, it's just, it's such a great affirmation having, as you said, like a community that might be intimidated by such a space, and being able to kind of coerce and just chat about these objects and understanding like, oh, this is how you react or can feel towards an object or art.
Yeah.
And then you said they ended up stealing the matches.
Yes, that's how the story ends. Yeah, it's the fact that they stole part of the artwork.
So full circle, full performance piece.
Yeah, I love that though.
No, absolutely. And then, I'm happy to hear that you've got a solo exhibition at the AVA Gallery in May 2020.
Yep, end of May.
And you've already got a title for it. Could you share it with us?
The title of the show, it is like still really loose, I guess.
Yes.
But it's called Living in the Box, or Living in a Box at least. And it was actually an old, the HL gang, it was their kind of slogan, their motto, you know. And it was always just a throwaway statement for me, like growing up, until I kind of looked back and I understood what they were trying to say, that they were actually making a social comment, that they are living in a box. And I mean, these are kids that started this gang, and I think, I don't want to give too much glory to them, but I think they were around about 17 or 16 when they started this, and they already understood that kind of social dynamic and context that they were in. And it's something that I never ever thought of growing up. I never thought that, I kind of never looked at my privilege or lack of privilege growing up, and I always just thought, oh, this is just the way things are, And I think they were questioning a lot beforehand, before they started. I think that's where the frustration came from, maybe. I don't know.
And do you think for you, just being able to contextualize it maybe through the medium of being an artist, do you think that has helped just to kind of box it in a way? Otherwise it's just kind of part of your subconscious, or it's just part of your DNA?
Yeah, I think just to kind of talk about it a bit. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not too sure. It's such a weird thing.
And have you experienced, say, other colored artists kind of talking about their experience in similar ways, I should say?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe they are speaking about their kind of lived experience. But I haven't come across anyone talking about it in I think a lot of colored artists, well, not a lot, but if they are speaking about those kind of things, it's more about they're doing paintings and kind of, that kind of representation, or trying to capture it in that kind of representation. But I definitely found a medium that, really does tell the story. You can't look at it and divorce the two,
Sure. I think, there's definitely, with painters, there's always a sense of beautification. Even the brush, it's like a polisher. That's what you put makeup on with. And I think there's no other way to best describe the work as you've done with these kind of found objects, or made objects, I should say. It's like they repurposed, basically. Pretty much, yeah. And I think the reason for that, the reason why I don't kind of almost tidy it up, is because of an author that I've got put onto, Nathan Trantal, that kind of writes in this dialect, that you would normally find on the Cape Flats, this kind of just the Afrikaans that you'd speak at home and on the streets and whatever, and because he didn't polish anything in his book, kind of gave me the courage to also not polish anything that I'm making. It's this is the truth, and this is my lived experience, and it's a shared lived experience from a lot of people on the Cape Flats, and that's why the work resonates a lot with them. Sure. I mean, there must have been, I guess, a bit of fear or anxiety about putting something out fairly personal, and as you say, a bit raw and rough, and not having a good reaction. But I mean, from what I can tell, and even from my reaction, I'm sure the feedback's been fantastic. The feedback's been really amazing. It really does kind of give me confidence to just push on and make more work and tell more stories, I guess. No, well, I'm glad it's all come together and you kind of on this track, on this journey, and I'm so glad you've kind of found your voice or your medium. And I think it's going to go well. I'm super excited for your show in May.
Thank you,
and also, you, as you stated, you work at World Art Gallery as a curator, gallery assistant, and you've collaborated now with Charles Bezuidenhout to launch World Art Street.
Yes.
Or Street, what
that's World Art Street.
World Art Street. Can you just describe that venture, please?
So that is basically looking at a lot of graffiti artists and street artists that are currently doing work for now in Cape Town, and kind of giving them a platform, or creating a platform where we kind of bring them into a space where, they kind of get the recognition and acknowledgement from a larger audience, and not just from a kind of pocket of people. So we have 4 artists that we started with, and it's going amazingly, actually. It's really cool.
And is the focus, say, more on graffiti or street art? Because I know you can kind of split the two.
Yeah, you can split the two, and it is definitely more focused on graffiti. I personally like to think so.
No, for sure. I think like there's definitely been a surge of street art kind of integrating with the fine art community.
Yeah.
And I know graffiti's always kind of, it's been a bit more of a rebellious art form, and I think that's its function.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, from the artists, was there any resistance, or what were their concerns in terms of turning it into a commercial product?
Well, I don't think there was there was much concern or resistance. They were all like kind of keen for it.
Yes.
I think for me, like the way I see it is the fact that you get someone like I'm not sure if you're familiar with Scene. So Scene's like one of like the early subway bombers of New York. And like, I mean, if you look at him, and even like someone like Shepard Fairey or whoever, like in America, all these kind of old school graffiti artists are almost celebrated today, you know. But we can't say the same for our graffiti artists, you know. Like, there's no way that like someone like Hocha, for example, graffiti artist from back in the day that started in Lentegeur, moved to Joburg, like he, you know, for him to basically create almost like a business or something from his street cred in South Africa is almost impossible, you know. The same, I would say the same with Falco even, or Mac 1, you know, and like Ice and all these like legends that kind of started graffiti in Cape Town. And like for them to be able to just turn around and just like sign anything and like sell it for whatever amount,
sure,
like it's impossible, you know. They still have to grind day in, day out.
Yes.
And so to kind of create, or at least try and create a space where they are more celebrated, I think is really cool.
What do you think? I guess it also comes down to not like pop culture, and I guess in terms of graffiti, it was never really ever as you said, never celebrated.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, something like World Art Street, I guess it's a great start, or it's nice to have certain businesses or galleries taking on such projects.
Yeah.
So I mean, hopefully it grow. I mean, the idea of it is to grow, and
yeah.
But for now, I see it's just prints you're working with.
Yeah, it's just prints. It's just like, it's basically a way to introduce them to the market. You know what I mean? Like something that is, just like simple and affordable, and you know, just to kind of create something that almost like anyone can just have a piece of something that they've created, you know.
For sure. I mean, on the website, it's very straightforward in terms of packaging and getting it there. It's 1.5 solid price, shipping included, and it's just wham bam, thank you ma'am. And I love that you kind of also introduced the new venture, the new gallery, with an exhibition, Worse Than Heroin.
Yes.
Was that that was at the same time of the launch?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
That was also just basically like, if you want to call it a soft launch or something, maybe that's what it was. But that was also just giving like a lot of people that like they literally risk their lives, their freedom, their friends, their families, every single thing, every single day, to put their names on this whatever, you know. And so it's just to also like kind of just celebrate them and kind of like, you know, give them a platform where they could kind of just, you know, do something on a canvas and put it up in a gallery space, and, you know, kind of have people look at their work in a different setting and just try and grow something from there, you know. So I think the whole thing is to try and make the kind of transition into, you know, a kind of more public space, or, you know, just as, I don't know, like just to make it as smooth as possible, I guess. No,
again, I think a fantastic venture, and I think it's almost a nice market to tap into, because it's basically non-existent, as you said. And yeah, I think it's very important for all genres of art to be celebrated. And yeah, it's great that World Art Gallery is on board, and I mean, what a nice partner to have.
It really is, and it does seem like just a natural kind of, transition as well from World Art to kind of World Art Street.
No, for sure. I think like there could have been a very stumbly, introduction of, certain galleries kind of took on the same project. I think, as you said, it lends itself very well.
Yeah, it does.
And with World Art kind of dealing with like having an urban pop feel, it was quite a smooth pivot.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, eh?
I think our time is running up, but just a quick plug again. So your solo, May 2020 AVA.
Yeah, that's
Be sure to catch that. Was there anything else you'd like to plug? Well, and then also you can check out the website worldartstreet.com.
Yeah.
Instagram, anything like that you want to plug? Or
well, there's also just the World Art Street Insta account. You can check that out. We're just looking to kind of put more artists onto the platform. We're currently speaking to a few more people that are also really prolific within graffiti, and so hopefully we'll have some work of theirs available for purchase soon as well.
No, I appreciate it. It's been great chatting to you, Warren. I mean, it's opened. I never knew about the work you were doing recently, and it's just so fantastic to kind of come across it. And definitely, for those of you who are listening, please check it out, and you'll be very, what's the word? Very happy as well. That's not the word. Not happy. You'll be very intrigued. And I think it's just a very strong body of work, and I think you're going to do super well.
Well, I hope so. I have a lot of work in me, so
fingers crossed. But again, we're also saying that I think with your curatorial background, so that was a bit of a tongue twister. I think that's also going to just kind of play to your strengths.
I hope so.
And navigate that space.
I just don't want to be like too overconfident, you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
So.
But again, I mean, you were saying, your works are smaller, but you don't want to overload the gallery. I think, my work's quite on like it's a small scale, and I really want to have like the cleanest show. No, for sure. I definitely don't see a thrift shop happening. It's going to be very clean and white. I want it white or just pristine and... oh my gosh, that's not the way to put it. That's a horrible way. Edit that out. I was going to say white cube gallery style, but anyways. Shit. Cool. Anyways, thanks for listening. And we are on episode 17. This is kind of a milestone. I had to mention it. And thank you, Blended Audio, for making this happen. Peace. Cheers. Art Pod is a South African-focused visual arts podcast hosted by Claude Chandler and produced by the generous assistance of Blended Podcasts, brought to you by Blended Audio.